25 years of media excellence. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Radio Max in Takrade, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, and Kekeli Radio in Huena, around the world at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, police begin scan of La Beach after explosion. They injured 3 children, but a former military officer is calling for the exercise to be extended to other beaches as it suggests it may be linked to terrorist operations.
Well, they are warlike material, they are war materials. You only use them in war. But let's remember that they can also be used by terrorists. All our beaches in Accra need to be seriously searched. And of course, we need to strengthen the investigation.
We'll hear more from him as well as from the police as well. Now, President Akufo-Addo cut sword for a 400-bed maternity and gynecology facility at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
I was struck by the poor state of the maternity block. I promise to help remedy the situation as the current state of the building is not fit for purpose. Today's ceremony is a fulfillment of the pledge I made.
We're live on the ground. Also, Sanitation Minister declares government has achieved 85% of its target at making Accra the cleanest city in Africa.
One of the promises was to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa by 2020. How far would that promise?
I will give it 85%.
So you think you're 85% fulfilled?
I'm telling you, I know you will put it.
We have details of that. Association of Affected Customers of Savings and Loans Institutions challenge government's claim of paying 96% of the affected customers.
We don't believe in those figures. They should come out and tell us the number of people who have been paid now and those who are yet to be paid. We are interested in nominal figures and not in percentages.
In sports,
we'll hear from boxer Patrick Aloti on the impact of COVID and the ramifications of his violent conduct, which earned him a 6-month ban.
And on Spotlight today,
I've been in this industry since, let me see if I can remember. Reggie Roxton will remember because I met him when I was about 15 years old in London.
We continue our series on once vibrant female musicians and put the spotlight on the Sweetio hitmaker Raquel. Stay with us. Thanks for your company. I am Emefa Apawu. Let's settle for the details now. Police in Accra have begun a scan of the La Beach after an explosion there yesterday. 4 children who were hit by the blast have been hospitalized. The children sustained several wounds when the explosive went off while they were playing with it on the beach. PAC and Anaya Safo has more.
The loud sound was heard by everyone in and around the community. The time was 11 a.m., 4th August 2020.
I hear the thing, as the thing blast, as the explosion. So who just shot the gun like that? What else?
Each person had their interpretation of what it meant.
The only thing I heard was like, boom! I was like, Lord of His mercy, what is happening?
Kofi Mwako, a mason returning from Usu, rushed to the scene.
It was bad. There was blood oozing from different body parts of these kids. The 7-year-old was the worst hit. Even in the hospital, they had to remove a lot of pellets from his back.
Kwadams is the father of all 4 children, with ages between 5 and 12.
To whoever is listening to me, please scan around and find out what is really happening in Salabad.
PAC and Anaya Safo reports that, well, Accra Region PRO Ifya Tingi says the police has begun scanning the area. She told Joy News parents in the areas must ensure their children do not touch unfamiliar objects.
The authority and the expert in whose work it is to find out whether these objects could be found in any part of the community. If they think that there's a need for them to do so, I believe that for the purpose of public safety, they will do so. But for now, that is the information I have that they have done so, yes. But I don't know if they are going to extend it to the wider community.
All right, so beyond the education and the earlier scan that was done when this issue was reported, is there anything more being done to secure the area and pick up intel on the existence of such devices, if there are any? Yes, and that is part of the investigative processes I have indicated. That in everything we need to do due diligence, we need to investigate thoroughly, we need to find out how they got there, because we have known that our shores have been very safe and that people go there merrymaking and all that. So if we are seeing something like this, it means that it calls for a broader interrogation or a broader investigation to find out whether indeed something is happening that we're not aware. And so for the sake of public safety, and for the need to remind all of us that this campaign we used to do in the past, let us still continue. That if we still see any object that we didn't know how those objects go to where we are or where we are citing them, it would be very good that we draw the attention of the police through our emergency line. DSP Efia Tenge there, she speaks for the Accra Region Police Command. She's been speaking to my colleague Bernice Abubedu Lansa on the Joy News Desk. We can now hear from a former military officer, Colonel Festus Abuaje. Now he's calling for the exercise to be extended to other beaches, as he suggests it may be linked to terrorist operations. He says this is critical, seeing as we are surrounded by conflict areas such as Burkina Faso, Niger, and even faraway Nigeria, where there is the Boko Haram enclave. Well, they are warlike material, or they are war materials. You only use them in war. But let's remember that they can also be used by terrorists, for instance. And I think a year or two ago, we found, in fact, the type that we found in a hotel somewhere in Accra is that type that, was found at the beach. So terrorists, or their, affiliates, could bring these weapons in order to, pursue their own agenda. They could also come from some of our neighboring states, particularly Cote d'Ivoire, which has been in conflict, and therefore they might have been smuggled into the country to cause, harm to the public. They could also be in transit, whatever that stock is, that they were brought in to be taken out of the country to some other place. So there are conflict areas around our borders. Burkina Faso is one, Niger is another, and even far away Nigeria, that is the Boko Haram enclave. So it's only the authorities, after investigation, who may come close to establishing where these grenades emanated from. All our beaches in Accra need to be seriously searched. And of course, we need to strengthen the investigation. You had the former military officer, Colonel Festus Abuaje. This is a story that we are following up closely on. We'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Let's now head on to education, because it's been 5 months since President Akufo-Addo closed down schools as part of measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. But some parents are still uncertain whether the award should return to the classrooms. Yesterday, the Ghana National Association of Private Schools pushed for the reopening of basic schools across the country, arguing the signs informing government's easing of restrictions and the partial reopening of secondary and tertiary schools backs their call. Acting President Dr. Demasos Tusorong warned that keeping the children at home beyond September 15 will have grave consequences.
Our clamor for full resumption of academic work is based on our desire to salvage Ghana's sinking educational fortune. While admitting that COVID-19 infections were reported in some senior high schools after the candidates returned to school, it is worth noting that the number of infected students and staff was so negligible as to become statistically insignificant. As we speak now, the recovery/discharge rate is hovering around 89%. For this reason, Most sectors of this country, you can talk about the political sector, religious, transport, trade and manufacturing, hospitality and tourism, are returning to normalcy and learning to live with this virus, which is in no hurry at all to pack and leave us alone. Our educational system must also learn to operate even in the midst of COVID-19.
That's the acting president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Dr. Damasus Turuso. We've been getting reactions to this. We start off from parents living in Nima. Some of them tell my colleague Nancy Emefa Apawu that they are terrified their wards will be infected by the virus.
If everything is going to be okay and school will get reopened soon, I don't have any problem with that too. With the kids, it's not safe, but with the situation at home, it's safe for us. So that's why I'm saying if possible, the school should be reopened by next year.
So far as government can supply PPEs to students, we are eager to go to school. If coronavirus is there, why will government tell us we should sit in church hall for food? That doesn't make sense. Because we can't sit in church hall for food so that and you tell us that we can't go to school. We have to go to school because we will be wearing nose masks.
If the sickness is truly around, please, I don't advise for the children to go back to school. It's truly risky. So maybe next year.
Some parents and guardians in Nima, they're interacting with my colleague Nancy Emefa Apawu. Vice President of UTAC, Dr. Otria Diamensa, is warning that reopening schools without extensive consultations could be disastrous.
There is absolutely no justification for a continued stay at home of the students or the pupils, except to say that a wholesale reopening where we expect every student to go to school at the same time is also not supported by the science. I think that a phased reopening, the colleges or the year groups, and the provision of adequate logistics, i.e. PPEs, medical buckets, and so on and so forth, is needed to ensure that parents have the assurance that once they take their children to school, the risk of them contracting the disease and getting sick is reduced. Again, various stakeholders must be consulted: teachers, lecturers, students, and parents. They all their inputs need to be factored in on the decision on the way forward.
Now, there are more reactions. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musa, says schools should be able to reopen after a thorough assessment of the current pilot project. Now, he says until all the loopholes are sealed, schools cannot resume full operations. But we've heard from stakeholders and parents and guardians. What about the children themselves? Some of them who spoke to Join You say they will miss school and want to return.
I miss school. I want to go back to school. We are lagging behind.
Okay.
Some of us have forgotten what they have teach us. So I want to go back to school.
It's what you're saying?
Najas Muritela.
You're also a student of
Accra Girls Senior High.
So what form were you in?
I'm in Form 2 by Green.
Green track.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to find out from you, do you miss school?
A lot. Especially time in class with friends, teachers, everything is fantastic.
So if government says go back to school today, will you want to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go because, and we being in the house, we don't really learn. We sometimes learn and sometimes we just watch television. So I want us to go to school.
I miss my friends because I want to go to school.
Okay. So which of your friends do you miss in school?
Adibel Lukaya.
Some children there interacting with Nancy Emefa Apawu. Now, this is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. On to health now, because President Akufo-Addo is today cut and sword for a 400-bed maternity and gynecology facility at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Speaking at an ongoing ceremony to break ground for the project, Health Minister Kweku Agyemang-Menu disclosed that government will complete the construction of 11 health facilities across the country before the end of 2020. Now, he says the projects are part of government efforts to bridge the gap in healthcare service delivery in Ghana.
It is on record that the nation is losing over 1,200 people to kidney and urogenital diseases every year. Again, a lot of resources are sunk into flying people outside the shores of Ghana for treatment of acute nephrology cases, and it is only fair that this project is done and done very well to save lives and save resources of our country. His Excellency, There is still a long way to go in achieving the desired specialist facilities that the country deserves. But government is not resting on its oars.
Now, the health minister has also been serving notice to health professionals who refuse postings to deprived communities.
The biggest challenge, however, facing the ministry is the reluctance of prospective health workers to serve in facilities outside the big cities of Accra, Kumasi, and to some extent Takoradi. This problem is further compounded by parents and relatives who come up with several stories hoping to effect changes after postings. Let me serve notice, Mr. President, with your indulgence, that this phenomenon will no longer be countenanced as the country stands the risk of losing out on the achievement of the much talked about universal health coverage. Mr. President, yesterday I had an occasion to ask, and so we have places that I call the one hospital, one doctor syndrome. So the doctors in such facilities are working 24 hours in arrest for 365 days a year. They can't even go on leave. Some don't have doctors at all.
Health Minister Kweku Agyemang-Manu, my colleague Manuel Kranting is at the event. He joins us live with some more details. Manuel, let's talk a bit more about this project. What are we gathering?
So the project is a 12-story building facility which is costed at 145 million euros. It's expected to be completed in about 30 months. Starting from today that the sword has been cut. And so essentially this is to replace the old maternity building which sits in the center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which looks quite dilapidated from what I can see over here, Emefa.
Now, I understand he's also been talking about the construction of 11 health facilities across the country before the end of 2020. Now, how is this different from the earlier announced one, and where would they be?
Yes, so he's made a point that these 11 facilities are different. In fact, all of them have already begun construction, most of them at almost completion, and will be commissioned before the end of 2020, aside the Agenda 88 that the President has said earlier.
The government's delivery program will see the completion of 11 healthcare facilities by close of the year at the following locations within the country: Sumenya, Weta in the Volta region, Sola to Nakalba, Bupe and Tolong. Bekwai District Hospital will be completed. Tepa is about to be completed. Nsoko will be completed. Triple Pras will be completed. Kumaku will be completed. And from now, we're even getting some place ready for case management for coronavirus. So all these projects, Mr. President, you will have to commission them before the election.
Now, Manuel, the President Akufo-Addo is at that event. He's been speaking. Tell us what he's been saying.
Well, he says that this is in fulfillment of a promise that he made to the management of the facility sometime in 2018 when he visited the place to commission the project and realized that the sitting maternity building was in shams, and said that he needed to replace it.
My recent visit to Kolebu, when I commissioned the intensive care unit of the National Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burn Center for the hospital, I was struck by the poor state of the maternity block. I promise to help remedy the situation, as the current state of the building is not fit for purpose. Today's ceremony is a fulfillment of the pledge I made. Once completed, the facility will contribute to addressing the persistent challenges of high maternal and child health morbidity and mortality in Ghana.
That's President Akufo-Addo from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Let's head on to sanitation, because we are 85% through with making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. That's according to Sanitation Minister Cecilia Benadapa. In 2017, President Akufo-Addo declared his government's intention of making Ghana's capital the cleanest on the continent by the end of his first term. Some members of the public have cast doubt over the possibility of achieving that target. But speaking to the media as part of a sanitation tour and cleanup exercise in parts of Mamobi today, the sanitation minister said 100% was achieved during the lockdown, but alleged the odds have reduced due to citizens' activities.
When we don't do these things of throwing garbage into the drains will be clearer and neater, and our homes also will be clean, because the assembly will send the Aboboyas round to pick the waste. That's what we want. I want to encourage the ESPA policy. We endorse it 110% of one house, one bin. this is what we are trying also to tell them. It's all sensitization and persuasion.
One of the promises for which the government was put into power, and in fact one of the ones we got earlier, was the 4 months election. It was to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa by 2020.
During the lockdown.
Yes. And how far with that promise?
I will give it 85%, because at the end of the day, you all saw the 100% we did during the lockdown. So who makes Accra dirty? That's why we are every day sensitizing people.
So you think you are 85% fulfilled?
I'm telling you, I know you will quote it, and I insist it's 85. You will rate it maybe 100%.
That's Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abna Dapa interacting with my colleague PSA Nanaya Safo. On to some other stories now. The Association of Affected Customers of Savings and Loans Institutions has challenged the government's claim of paying 96% of the affected customers. President Akufo-Addo, during his tour of the Eastern region last week, revealed his government had paid more than 90% of what was owed the depositors.
As far as the microfinance and savings and loans institutions are concerned, 98% of the deposits of the funds have also been paid. There is still a balance. The receivers, NIPA and the others are working on it, and I believe NIPA has gone so far as to say that by the end of August, all of them will have been paid.
Now, just yesterday, Minority Leader Harun Idris also demanded an audit of the payment of money to depositors of the collapsed financial institutions, which President Akufo-Addo says currently stands at 96%.
They are simply not transparent. And then you heard the President himself say that 96% of depositors have been paid. An irony, why are the same depositors questioning it? If I got money, if I received money, I would know. There are many of them. So we are further demanding an audit of those depositors who have been paid in order for us to ascertain whether we can rely on the President's so-called 96%.
That's the Minority Leader Harun Idris. So I'm joined on the line by Ezekiel Ano, who heads the Association of Affected Customers of Savings and Loans Institutions. Now, he is challenging government's claim of paying 96% of the affected customers. Thank you so much for your time, Ezekiel. Now, you heard the President. He was very emphatic about the payment. What information do you have that suggests otherwise?
Thank you very much, Emefa. And I want to use this opportunity to say hi to all your cherished listeners. I side with the minority leader, and I disagree with the president. If the president says that Mr. Nipa has paid 98% of our people, it's not true. Because the Bank of Ghana made us understand that those of us in the microfinance and savings and loan sectors are over 3.3 million in number. Mr. Nipa on the 27th of February said he received only 360,000 claims, which is around 11%. He rejected 63,000, remaining 297,000, which is less than 10%. And with that, he hasn't finished paying it.
Okay, but like you said, Ezekiel, you've just mentioned that he says he received those claims. So if he doesn't receive the claims from other members, how then does he pay?
Madam, it's not true. That figure he came out with is not true. He received more than that. Almost every customer, every affected customer managed to submit his or her claims. Even those outside Ghana came down to submit their claims. How come he received just around 11%? And after that, most of our people visit these places of validation just to be told that their names cannot be found in the system. So we sense a deliberate attempt that over 80% of our people are going to be denied payment. How come that when the Bank of Ghana was going to revoke the licenses of these institutions, involving over 3.3 million, you say you need between 6 and 7 billion to bail them out. Now only 360,000 people submitted their claims, yet you come and tell us that the amount involved is 6.4 billion.
That's Ezekiel Ano. I will leave it here. This is a matter that we'll interrogate further subsequently. He is the head of Association of Affected Customers of Savings and Loans Institutions. Now, they are challenging government's claim of paying 96% of the affected customers. Our top stories also, police begin scan of La Beach after explosion there injured 4 children. But a former military officer is calling for the exercise to be extended to other beaches, as he suggests it may be linked to terrorist operation. When we return from the break, we have sports and also on Spotlight.
I've been in this industry since, let me see if I can remember. Reggie Roxton will remember because I met him when I was about 15 years old in London.
The European domestic football action is heading for a big finish as the 2020 UEFA Champions League takes center stage. It's all on the line as Man City, PSG, Barcelona, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid face off in an action-packed mini-tournament. Catch it live on SuperSport from the 7th of August. Get DSTV and find out who will be crowned champions of Europe.
Oh my goodness, you cannot write the script for this. This is unbelievable stuff.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports now. Hans Mensando.
Hello, Emefa.
Hi.
Right, so former WBO Africa Super Welterweight champion Patrick Alote has revealed he's lost friends after a video of him punching a football fan went viral. Alote, who has been banned for 6 months by the Ghana Boxing Authority for the conduct, also spoke about financial difficulties as a result of COVID-19.
Actually, financially, I've been fighting a lot of problems because, the management has done their best and I also have to do my part. But financially, I'm finding things difficult because of this COVID. There's no fight and also a lot of financial problems I've been facing at home. That's why I can't tell about it more. But automatically, I've been in financial problem a lot that I need more help from, people and the fans. But because of the issues the issue that went viral, a lot of my friends that supposed to help have I think dogged me. Yeah,
I see. So you lost some friends as a result.
A lot.
That's Patrick Alote speaking there, and his ban, 6-month ban, of course, ended last week, and he's also been calling on the GBA to publish the fact that the ban, has been lifted, and so that's another story that we are following keenly.
Thank you, Hans. It's time to get into the election headquarters. And the opposition NDC wants the Electoral Commission to take action against its officials who registered as voters, some 66 persons currently in the custody of the police. They were arrested as they attempted to flee by the immigration officers in Banda in the Bono East region. The governing NPP yesterday accused the opposition NDC of facilitating the registration. John Boydu is General Secretary.
In Banda constituency, insisting that with a truckload, and just as they did to you, the media people, instead of them to even bash them, they couldn't bash them. They just got a cab truck, loaded them into it, and was insisting and intimidating, and to some extent even insulting the police. This is what he did by insisting that these people must be allowed to vote.
Now, the NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedun Ketia has dismissed this allegation, insisting the party actually raised red flags regarding the nationalities of these individuals. He wants the EC to probe the matter and deal with the staff who released the voter ID card or the voter's card to the Ivorians despite pending challenge cases filed by the NDC.
I expect the commission to take action against the electoral officers who allow these people to register in the first place and who haven't been challenged by NDC agents who still release the voter ID cards for the 66 Ivorians. But for our insistence, the immigration people, if they had not intercepted the vehicle and they had allowed it to cross, then they would not even come and face the review committee at all, because they are even in spite of the challenges, their voter ID card had been released to them. So I'm surprised that somebody like the secretary of the party will come and will not cross-check whatever information he has been fed with, and he will be sitting on television and be spewing this type of lies.
We can now hear from Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kwekushi. He says the matter is still under investigation.
When somebody comes to the place to register and you are not sure of the person, you cannot challenge the person. But we expect that people within the community should know the people. And so I know the commission has invited the regional director and the district officer for interaction. So I believe that maybe by interacting with them, we'll get to the root of it. So let's wait and get to the bottom of the investigation before we draw conclusions.
That's the Director of Electoral Services at the EC, Dr. Sribo Kweku. There's more election-related matters on Election Brief on the Joy News channel with Joy News editor Araba Kumsin. You want to catch that on all our social media platforms. Time now for entertainment.
Show
and Becky is here.
Yes. Emefa, it's been years since she dropped her critically acclaimed song Sweet You, which earned her a spot on Ghana's musical charts. Raquel, who was once vibrant in the music industry, went on a break and has since left her fans asking of her whereabouts. Raquel is on Spotlight today. Raquel Na Ayoko Ama, known by stage name Raquel, is a Ghanaian musician, composer, choreographer, actress, and scriptwriter. She is popularly known for her hit song Sweet You, which featured Sarkodie.
This young man, he stole my heart. He come by 2 candies.
Raquel officially entered the music scene in 2005 and has since shared same stage with acts like Mario, Movado, Sarkodie, Trigmatic, Chiame Kwame, Stephanie Benson.
How many years has it been? It's been some years. Been in this industry since, let me see if I can remember. Reggie Roxton will remember because I met him when I was about 15 years old in London.
Raquel, who was vibrant and active, have been quiet for some time now. According to her, she took a break to focus on education, family, health, and business.
When I started out, I was very young and funky, and I wanted to just do everything and anything. I was just doing all kinds of music, and got to a point where I said to myself, what are you doing? Is this what you really want to do with the Afro-pop music? And it's wonderful, and you have the fans, you have the following, people love you, but is this what you really want to do? And I realized this is not what I want to do. If I want to represent for Ghana, I want to do it in a different way. Why can't we have another Whitney Houston or another Mariah Carey or a Celine Dion? I want to be that.
In early 2017, she announced she was back with a song with rapper EL, but since then have remained quiet in the industry. In 2012, Raquel won the Best Female Artist at the YFM All Star Weekend Awards.
And now you want it back.
That's Raquel. We miss Raquel. Hopefully, she'll be back in the music industry. But I do understand that she's currently in the UK, doing her own things. Yeah.
Have we heard from Patapa? How is he doing?
It is alleged that he was poisoned. I'm not too sure what exactly happened, but he's okay. He's doing well.
And I'm sure Becky will give us more subsequently. And that's it for the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. You know where to get more news. It's on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll live in word with Dr. Mensel Tabel. I'll give you details.